Hello everyone and welcome back. So in this video here, what Lee's going to do is finalize the GetHeight implementation. And this is where things are going to get a little interesting, where we're going to do a bunch of different samples based off of different scales with our noise map, and then blend all of this stuff together to give ourselves a more interesting look with our geometry. Right, Lee?
Right. The magic of this whole system is the additive effect that we get with different noises. Just having the base map has its own issues, and just a single noise doesn't look realistic enough. But the more noise in different scales that we add into the system, the more realistic that our terrain begins to look. So what I want to do is add some more scales, and we can demonstrate what we're getting with the scales.
Actually, before you even do that, go ahead and back up 1, 2, 3, 4. And go down and change the name of your private...
the sample map. Yeah, we can do that.
Since now it's sampling just whatever map you send in, we can just change the naming. Sweet. Okay, so right now you've got a scale 1 and a scale 2.
Right, but we're going to be taking 5 different samples, so we're going to need 5 different scales. So I'm going to name these S1 through S5. Now, right now, we're using S1 for our base map, and I want to switch this around so that S5 is going to be our base map. S1 is going to be our low-res noise, which will be set to 0.1. We're going to set S2 to be a middle frequency noise, so we'll set that to 0.2. We'll set S3 to be a high frequency noise at 0.5, and then we're going to set S4 to be a very high frequency noise at 2. Now what I want to demonstrate is kind of what we get with all these different samples. So I'm going to change this up to use sample 5 or scale 5 for our base map, and then I'm going to use scale 1 for our detail map. I'm going to build this out, and let's go ahead and see what the result is.
Alrighty. Jump on over and...
Yeah, I'll let you take control.
Yeah. And hang on a second. We have an exception with the UK original.
Yeah, you know what happened? We were playing around in between with our UK map, and when we deleted it and re-imported it, we never went back and set up our settings.
That's true.
So we covered this in an earlier video. Actually, are we still playing?
It is still playing. It's hang on.
Okay.
It just, there we go. It's out.
I was getting some really weird visual glitches.
Now watch this. Watch this. You're still going to get them. This is what I was talking about the other day, where let me just do it this way. There you go.
It's like going, I can't control the mouse. I still can't control the mouse. All right, I'll let you control the mouse for a sec.
Well, it's going to be hard because you got to click way below. All right, what do you want changed, Lee?
We want to say set the texture type to advanced.
But what if we didn't want to?
We really
I'm just
want to.
giving you a hard time.
We really want to.
Okay, so that we can enable our read
and write, and we want to set our max size to 248.
And then I am. But what if we didn't want to do that?
Well, you got to check the override.
No, I don't want to check it.
Yeah, you do.
All right, click. Oh, now what? It's like half working, man. All right. Sorry, I was just trying to have. Nope, can't. You got to go lower. And take the mouse away from me, then do it right.
Right. If anybody from Unity is.
No, I'm not going to blame Unity on this because we're doing some really weird stuff with resolutions and everything else. So.
Well, resolutions, recording the video as well as transmitting it to my computer all the way out here on the East Coast.
Are you sure you want advanced texture type?
Yeah, it's the only way we can get.
I know that. Go ahead and hit play.
Man.
Clicking there is not going to do it. Got to come way down here. Wait.
Well, then you
Oh,
do it. I can't. I
there we
can't
go.
handle it if it doesn't work right.
Yay! All right, so let's go ahead and switch over. Let's get serious. So switching back over, rotating ourselves around, and this is what we have.
Right. So I see white. Hold on, and let me see if I can adjust my quality settings so I can see something other than a big white blur. All right. That's a little bit better. Okay, there we go. So what we should have is, it's still a blur for me, so hopefully it looks right. But we're starting to get some high frequency noise added in with our bass.
We are.
We should
It's very difficult to see.
see. So, but I expect that to kind of be the case. Well, all right, there we go. Was that you switching over to wireframe?
It was.
Okay.
I wanted to.
Oh, you're trying to control the mouse.
Yes. I wanted to go ahead and grab some of the patches. I figured this
Right.
might help you out a little bit.
Right. Well, this is a low frequency noise. So if you look at our scale, this is going to apply subtle changes across wider areas.
Hmm.
So it's not going to be very prevalently visible on something that has already got a terrain or a slope to it. You would notice it more on flat areas.
Okay.
So, but it is there. We are getting some little bit of noise in.
Okay.
Now, as we get to the larger or the higher and higher frequency noises,
Hmm.
you're going to notice a larger contribution. So if I bring up, let's
Oh
say,
yeah, it was the low frequency. I don't know why I was thinking it was the high.
no, that was the low frequency. So that's why it was subtle and it was a large area that was changing. And as we get to each of the higher and higher frequencies along the way, we're going to notice a little bit
Okay.
more.
Yep, noticing just a little bit more. Let's try another one.
All right. So if we go to S3, now, like I was saying, where this comes into play is not so much the effect that any one noise gives us, it's the compounded effect of all the noises put together.
Okay, nice.
So even more noise. And then now this one is roughly about 8 times the frequency of all the other ones, or the next highest frequency. So this one gives us the most visual impact.
Absolutely. Are you trying to control too?
Nope, not touching it.
Okay, there we go. All right, very cool. Yeah, I can see that. We're just further and further and further away from the stair stepping, and then as we come in a little bit closer, you can really start to see the high frequency noise all in here.
Right, and we can even make that a little bit more prevalent as well, because right now I've got our height fairly low. So if I were to go into our train demo here, or actually I think I've got it set in train patch towards the top. So if I were to set this to say 2048
Okay.
and build that, go ahead and bring that one up.
Hmm.
And it's going to be much higher up in the air.
Yep.
So we're starting to get noise, but we're starting
There
to
we go.
introduce more of the stair step.
But even then, I mean, still a big jump from what it was originally.
Right. And then once we add all the noises together, we'll get some really interesting stuff.
All right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and jump back over here.
Right.
And if you want to reset that max height.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it down to about half. Because as we start blending more and more noise, the effective contribution is going to diminish. So if we go into our generator, now not only are we going to take each of these 5 samples, we're going to blend them together. To blend them, we're going to need some weights. Basically, the ratio that we're going to be blending 2 different levels of noise together, and eventually all the noise in with the base map itself.
Right.
So these are going to be labeled W1 through W4. And the very first one is going to be set at 80%. Go ahead and just copy this.
And just for those of you that may be completely new to working with lerp, basically when he's talking about weights, he's just talking about how much we're going to blend from one to another, one of the maps to another, or the samplings, if you will. Right now, if you look down at line 34, you'll see that the weight that he is using between H1 and H2 is 0.05.
Right, so only 5% of our noise is getting applied to our height map, which is why we're getting a lot of the altitude from the underlying base map, and we're only seeing a very little contribution from the noise itself.
So you're doing an 8%, then 75%, 65%, and 75%. Now, where do these magical numbers come from?
Just trial and error to get the look that I was looking for. Pretty much the same with the noise. In a real environment where this isn't a tech demo where you're just putting it together to get a nice looking terrain, these would be something that you would probably want to implement in some sort of interface that an artist could get access to, where they could adjust these numbers without having to come into the source code, whether it be some sort of config file that you import and load in the runtime, or if it's even some sort of tool that you have that you can bring up with a hotkey that lets you adjust it inside of the game. So, but for now, for just R&D purposes, I've done a lot of playing and just came up with some numbers that work well. Now, we need to work on some blends. Well, actually, before that, we probably need the sample. I can't blend if I don't have any samples. So let's go ahead and rearrange this a little bit. I'm going to take our last sample, which was H1, which is our base map, and I'm going to rename this one to H5. I want this to be the last sample that we take. I do want to have sample 1 through 4 though, and these are going to use scales 1 through 4 respectively. So go ahead and paste these in. So 2, 3, 4. Using scales 2, 3, and 4. So now I've got samples coming in for each one of our scales. Now we need to blend those together. To blend, we're going to create some new vars to hold the output. So we're going to name those B1 for the first one, B2 for the second, B3 for the third one. Now B1 is going to take H1, which is our sample of our low frequency noise. It's going to multiply that by 0.1. Because our weight 1 is at 0.8, it's going to take 80% of whatever values returned from our low frequency sample. And to that, it's going to add the 1 minus weight 1, or 20% in our case, because 1 minus 0.8 is going to be 0.2. So H2 is going to be multiplied by 0.2, or 20% of the noise contribution from H2, which is our medium frequency noise. That will be added with 80% of our low frequency noise, and that gives us our B1 blend. So, and this is just a different way that we can lerp between stuff. So if we really, really wanted to, we could do a combination. So let's do that with this one, just to show that it can be done. We could just as easily do mathf lerp send in B1, which is the output of our first blend, and then we want to take H3, which is our high frequency noise, and then we could blend that by weight 2 and bring that out. Either one of these techniques would give you the same result. So, but my notes have this way, so this is the way I'm going to do it, just to be consistent with my notes, just in case. All right, so this one will be H3, and this one will be weight 2. And I need to change that to weight 2. Now, blend 3 is going to take our output of our second blend, which is combining our low and medium frequencies with our high frequency. So this is blend 2. Blend 2 is going to take our third weight, which is 65%, and multiply or add that result with H4, which is our very high frequency. And then we're going to take basically the same equation again, and we're going to assign it to our height. But in this case, we're going to take H5 times weight 4, which is 75%. We're going to take B3, which is all the blending of all of our noises put together, and multiply that by 0.25 in this case, which is weight 4, or 1 minus weight 4. This gives us our height. I'm going to take the height and I'm going to multiply this by our max height. And I'm going to return that out of our GetHeight function. So this will do all of the blending for us at this point. We should be able to build it. And if you want to jump back over and see what we get. So you might want to also switch over to a textured or texture and wireframe. So we're starting to get something that looks a lot more like a real terrain. Now, there are some lighting anomalies that you see along the patch seams. And they're starting to pop up, so we can see those now. If you can zoom in and bring that up. So, and if you go underneath, so what's happening?
Yeah, we don't have enough push yet.
Yeah, we're not pushing them. What's happening is when we made the changes in the create grid, I was copying and pasting, and when I was copying and pasting, I wasn't paying close attention to what I was doing. So if you want to pause there.
We can't see it, but all right, jump back out of this.
All right, so what is going on is inside of our terrain patch where we create our grid, and I was copying and pasting from our solution up here where we took x times spacing minus offset plus position, and I copied it down here for dealing with conditions 1. We've got that vertex at the edge that's been pushed in. I set it up to be position x times spacing minus offset, which looks right, and I changed the x that was there originally to POS x. The problem with that is if you look at position x, it's already taking care of the spacing. So we're basically putting in some erroneous information in there. So if we take that out, so we're just removing the multiply, and we go ahead and run it again.
Let's jump back over to scene.
Now it's looking better. Now it's still not perfect, and the reason why is the normals are not being calculated across those seams yet. So
yeah, I think it would have been easier for them to have seen the problem if they're following along. If no one caught that ahead of time, they can just jack up their maximum height, and they'll end up getting to a point where they're going to really start pushing those vertices down. And
then, you'll see triangles that are sticking out.
They're just simply triangles, and you're only going to see them on one side, not the other, of course. But okay, cool. Yeah, but that is something that needed to be fixed. All right, is there anything else in this one, or is that all of GetHeight?
Well, no, there's actually more stuff into GetHeight.
More.
Yes, there's
I
always
know.
more.
Come on, have some fun tonight.
Oh, we were having all kinds of fun earlier. But if we go back into our terrain generator, right now we're using 0.05 here for our distance. Let's go ahead and
For our
move that,
distance?
or sorry, our scale.
Okay.
So let's move that up to, say, about 2.65 for now. And let's go to our terrain patch. I'm going to bring down our max height a bit. So let's try 256. If we build this and we run it,
Well, I'll go ahead and frame up.
okay. So what are we getting? All right, I'm trying to see if we've got the whole map in there. So it doesn't look like we're getting the whole map yet.
No, not yet.
Nope. So we're only getting part of it. Here's Scotland. Here's this little island and part of Ireland. I don't know what that island's called. I probably should. But, you know. I did it again.
There you go.
Go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But if we, let's drop this down to about 64. And let's take our scaling over here. And instead of, let's try 14.1. And let's try that. Okay, closer. It's a little inaccurate, but now if we zoom in, the problem that we have based off of our map, not quite so much that far, we can see a little bit of noise in where we had black, which is good because it's actually adding some noise. And we're adding some noise into our altitude. But with the way this map is being fed in right now is, according to this representation, the entire UK is surrounded by a giant cliff wall. We have no beaches, and we don't have any bleed off into the ocean or any ramp up through some middle lowland country up into the highlands.
So you're wanting to, I see what you're wanting to do. So you're wanting to talk about the function that you're going to use for pushing the floor up by half and scaling mountains?
Yes.
Okay. How about we go ahead and just put that one in the next video then, so that we can get up a Java app to help explain or to visualize what exactly is happening. How about that?
Okay.
Awesome.
We can do that.
All right, very good. So that will wrap up this video. Thanks a lot, everyone.